So there are a lot of ways that animal rights extremists are really disingenuous about their claims in our industry. I'll give you some examples. Sometimes they will say that, look at this horse, he collapsed. He just had, he was so exhausted from heat, he collapsed. And if you really look at the picture, you'll see that everyone was in winter coats in that picture. So how could it be too hot for the horse if people had to be in winter coats? A lot of the times, well, not that happens very often, but if a horse like trips or stumbles and they lose their footing and they fall, they have to be unharnessed from the carriage in order to safely stand up. So that could take a couple of minutes, and you don't want the horse to try to get up on their own most of the time, depending on how the fall goes, because they can hurt themselves. So you'll want to have that horse stay down if you can while you harness them so that they can get back up. We've had this happen every now and then, and the horse gets up uninjured. The whole incident maybe takes 5 or 10 minutes, and that's it. The horse, if they have any abrasions or anything, they'll get seen by a vet, but otherwise the horse basically just goes about their day and it's like nothing ever happened. But what these groups will do is they'll just take that imagery, call it a collapse, like the horse had some kind of health issue. They will spread that all over the internet, and it just stays there forever. So be really wary of any kind of pictures or videos you see of a horse on the ground, especially when it's called a collapse, because if you don't actually have the full story there, you might be getting some entirely false information. And it's all just slanted to paint our industry in a negative way when there's really not much negativity there. If any, in my opinion, there's none. But, it depends how you go about viewing all of this. Sometimes they will be like, oh, look, this horse ran the red light. And you can see the light's red. But if you actually go back and you look at what really happened in that situation, horses will be kept at a walk most of the time. Once in a while we do trot, but there could be a reason you're not trotting. Maybe it's hot out and you don't want to put any extra strain on your horse, or a whole variety of reasons. So say you started walking your horse through a green light. Here the law is that you can, once you make it through the first crosswalk, you have all the time you need to get through the second crosswalk, even if that light changes on you in the middle. Most of the time, you're going to want to trot and speed up to make the light fully through while it's green or yellow. But occasionally, if there's a reason you're not trotting your horse and you're just walking, when you make it through that first crosswalk of a green light at a walk, there are times where that light changes very quickly, and your horse is pretty slow. And by the time you're in the middle, it's already turning yellow. And by the time you reach the second crosswalk, it's technically red, but you are allowed to finish going through there, or you're going to hold up traffic. It's going to be a whole mess. So what they'll do is they'll just show you finishing, you making your way across at a green light when the light is technically turned red, and they call this running a red light. Now, that's not putting anyone in danger. It's technically not doing anything against the law, but they just want to mislead you because they actually don't have good basis to have this bias against the industry aside from their own personal feelings about it. And those personal feelings don't represent the reality of the feelings of our horses or the general public. The majority does not have this extremist mindset that there's something wrong here. So just be really careful about the things that you see out there in the internet. There's a group that kind of has this, the run as the guise of being for animal rights, and I'm sure a lot of their supporters are under that guise. Animal rights is something very different from animal welfare. We'll get into that in another video. But this animal rights, extremist movement, this particular group, it's called NYCLASS or NYCLASS, NYCLASS. You might see them referred to as. NYCLASS stands for New Yorkers for Clean, Livable, Safe Streets. They were started a long time ago, actually headed by a real estate developer who has made a lot of statements that he had interest in purchasing the land that the Carriage stables were on. And we didn't want to sell, or, the owners of the stables that are horse people. And he did not like this. He's this millionaire that is like, well, I'm going to throw a whole bunch of money into politics, try to get rid of these horses, and free up the land. That's the kind of the short version I can give you. He actually bought our mayor one year, Mayor de Blasio. His name is Steve Nislig. I don't think he actually has explicit interest specifically in our stables anymore after all of this has gone down, but he still, is what sparked this. I think Steve Nislig just has a vendetta against the carriage industry at this point. I mean, he put millions and millions and millions of dollars into politics to try to buy politicians to get what he wanted, and it didn't work. So I think this is just kind of, he just has it out for the horses, and he's not going to give up, and that's why they're still trying, even if he's not going to actually try to purchase this land the stables are on anymore. There are other real estate interests out there that will speak negatively about our industry because the reality of New York City is, the money talks, and these people are funneling millions and millions and millions of dollars into campaigning against us. So a lot of this information that you hear actually will be stemming from real estate developer money, putting all this propaganda out there. It's not the reality.